Welcome to the Spiritual Principles Made Practical podcast. I'm your host, Scott Friedman, and today we're going to talk about forgiving ourselves because we all need it. What I found is that the toughest element of forgiving myself is to realize where I'm not forgiving myself. And I'll give you an example. Let me first go into once I realize where I'm not forgiving myself, then it's easy enough to change and let go, right? So it's like, okay, I'm not forgiving myself for not living my ideals more fully. Okay, well, I understand what that means, and I understand what to do about it, and I understand how to make the change different because forgiving ourselves is all about understanding what we did that we would wish we hadn't really, and learning from that experience and resolving not to repeat that same mistake. And so what happens is, at least for me, is that once I've extracted the learning out of it, once I've realized what I did, why I did it, and why I'm not going to do it again, it's pretty easy to forgive myself and move on, right? Because it's like, okay, well, I can't change what was done, but I can learn from it and not do it again. And to me, that enables me to let go of things. And I always like to do an example for a lot of reasons, not the least of which it helps me, but also examples are the most powerful form of leadership. So I'm going to share a real current time example that I'm in the process forgiving myself for right now. And that is that I have not lived up to my ideals as fully as I could have. And in specific, what that means is that part of my ideals are that I'm either going to be aware of what a thought is and choose to act on it because it's an uplifting thought, or be aware of what a thought is and choose not to act on it because it's not an uplifting thought. And that's my ideal. And what I found is that uh, and realized that I've been doing a bass backward partial job of that, and that it's really and to the extent that I haven't adhered to that is to the extent that I've created grief in my life. And so I want to forgive myself for not adhering more closely to my ideals. And that one in specific, that, make sure that I'm aware of what my thoughts are and that I have a choice and I exercise that choice about what thought to act on. And one of the ways that I can do that and that helps is that I know that my thoughts create my emotion. So if I'm having an emotion I don't like, I know that there's a thought that's creating it. And so what I need is so to be true to myself, right? To forgive myself for be effective at forgiving myself for not having scrutinize and being aware of my thoughts uh, is that I'm going to slow down. I'm going to be aware and meditate on the thought that's creating that emotion that I don't want, and then investigate that thought and determine whether or not that's a thought that I really want to, that I believe is true, and it like never is if it's creating a negative emotion, because the at my core, like you, I'm all light, I'm all divinity, God, good, positive, and anything other than that is really just a false belief that I've adopted, and I've got plenty of them, right? And I recognize that, there's a deeply held pattern of being unconscious of those negative thoughts, and that I need to chip away at it, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there, and but the more that I forgive myself for not having adhered to my principles more closely, the more able I am to adhere to my principles more closely. So that's um, a really big deal for me because emotional difficulties have been a challenge for me. And just understanding and accepting the fact that I create whatever emotional difficulties are in my life by not being aware of the negative thought and just allowing it to exist in the unconscious, or worse yet, um, entertaining and acting on it in the conscious level, uh, is uh, hurting me and hurting other people. So don't do that. And anyway, but that for me, forgiving myself is all about understanding what I've done that's been detrimental and why I did it and how I did it and how I'm going to change that pattern and do it differently. And that's what forgiveness is for me. So anyway, I can help. It's hard, right? Oftentimes to see ourselves accurately, right? Like when I'm coaching people, I can see you a lot more accurately than I can see me, right? Because I have a level of detachment and such. And then in the process of coaching you, I help myself as well. But the point is that if you'd like coaching, I can help you with that because if you're like me and everybody else I know, sometimes it's hard to see what those negative thoughts are that need to be moved from the unconscious to the conscious, where we can choose not to act on them and understand and accept their existence and realize that they're not true and identify more accurate, positive thoughts that we can act on that are true. I can help you with that. And if you want a free introductory session, you can contact me at scottfriedman40@gmail.com, SCOTTFRIEDMAN40@gmail.com. My books, including the latest, which is Creation, the How and the Why, and it really digs in deeply into how we create our life. But they're available on Amazon, and you can find links to them on my website, www.thoughtcoachingbyscott.com. All right, so the way to forgive yourself is to realize what you did, why you did it, and how you're going to do it differently. Not all that difficult conceptually, but it takes work and it takes attention, and you can do it. And if you want, I can help.